I hacked my mental health and I got happy. I figured out the solution for it and I want to share that with you. Look, after a nasty relationship breakdown, I was an absolute mess, worst I have ever been. The things that I was telling myself up here was the sort of thing that I would not want to say to anybody else. So why the hell was I telling it to myself? Because we get to that point where we don't feel very good. And I could not deal with that anymore. Now, I've done plenty of personal development stuff over the years, but there are certain things that really worked well for just changing that narrative completely. So even if it wasn't yet true, I would tell myself things that would build me up rather than drag me down. And I'm glad I did. Here's some of the ways that I got started with that. I looked at my values and I had to make sure that I was living according to those values. Was I compromising my own values in my everyday life just to be with someone else or please someone else? Quite possibly. So that's something you really need to look at. It's like, are you being yourself within that relationship, or are you sacrificing something in order to please somebody else? Now, this is not just in romantic relationships. We do this with family members. We do this with friends, just so we can feel like we can fit in a whole lot easier. But when you violate your own values, then you're not true to yourself and you do not feel good, and then it will affect your health as well. So next, look at your attitude. So look at, what is your attitude towards work? What's your attitude towards your friends and family? Are you positive? Are you optimistic? Are you looking forward to things, or are you just down in the dumps? And if you have some of these attitudes that you usually are, I'm usually an optimistic person, I'm usually this, and I'm not feeling like that, well, try and bring yourself back to that. Now, that may seem easier said than done, but a lot of the time it's just being aware of, oh, I am being that way. I'm not usually that way. I need to get myself sorted out so I am actually being more authentic, more myself, more the person that I would usually want to be. Now, affirmations are really good for that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Next, we want to look at that self-talk that's going on up here, because what that is really the things that you believe on a subconscious, excuse me, or unconscious level. So these things that are coming up in your head, that's what you believe about yourself, or that's what your unconscious, subconscious believes. Is it true? That is the question. You want to be able to challenge that. So if you can ask yourself, is this thing that I'm telling myself true? And then put a list together, yes or no, or possibly for or against, and just try and argue it out with your subconscious, because sometimes you can reason it out just by going, well, actually, I'm good at this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and this negative, that's not me at all. And all of a sudden, that negative belief is gone, just like that, because you have proven to the subconscious that it is no longer a relevant thing. So first step, be aware of what you're saying to yourself up here, and second, challenge it so you can do something about it. Now let's look at your emotions. Now, if you're in a place where your mental health is not doing so great, or you're not happy, your emotions are going to be more on the negative side. But are you focusing on the way that you do feel? Or what about focusing on the way that you want to feel? Because if you can remember a time when you felt a particular way, that'll bring you back into that emotional state and lift you back up. So if you're not feeling great and your emotions are down in the dumps, I would not be watching crime dramas or negative stuff that really has, sad undertones or nasty undertones. I would be putting stuff on that is only positive and uplifting to bring me into an emotional state that is going to be a whole lot better, because I want the emotional state to improve, not get worse. I'm not going to, when people say, oh, you're just down in the dumps for a little bit, and that's just, you're sitting there stewing on your own emotions, that's what's happening. So instead of choosing to go to the dark side, go towards the light side. Give yourself that uplifting stuff. Put comedy on and laugh your head off. Watch shows that are inspiring, that bring that emotion up in you on a more positive note, so you have a little bit more hope and faith in a better future. I also really like when you can look at your strengths and weaknesses. Figure out what your strengths are, figure out what your weaknesses are, exploit your strengths, and address your weaknesses. If you can address those weaknesses and just identify them first, but go, all right, yeah, I'm not so great at that sort of thing. If I can make that a little bit better, then that's only going to improve things in my life. For me, I always like the 1% rule. I'm always looking to get just 1% better each day. It might not sound like much, but it's a compounding effect. So if you got 1% better each day over the course of 365 days, you don't get 365% better. You actually get 1%, and then the next day it's compounded and another 1%, and it just keeps compounding and compounding on another. I don't know what the number is, but compounding makes it go exponentially higher, way faster, and that's kind of what you're looking at. So just get yourself 1% better. Try and get 1% better. What could I do today that makes me a little bit better? What could I do that is just that little extra bit, that little extra something? Put a little bit extra effort in. Just push that little bit harder with it and see what happens. It makes a huge difference. Now, affirmations are an amazing tool. They get a bad rap sometimes because people are like, oh, you're just telling yourself something that isn't true. And that's great. For some people, they just go, well, you're telling yourself something that isn't true up here already. You're telling yourself something that's absolutely nasty. That negative self-talk, that's not true either. So if you are telling yourself that, wouldn't you rather replace it with something that is positive? Now, when I was at my worst, I used to spam myself with affirmations. Instead of having those nasty thoughts just rolling around in my head, I would repeat the same affirmation over and over and over again. It might be 5 or 10 minutes, and then I might switch to another one, or whatever it took to stop this cycle that was going in my brain from just putting me into that negative state again and again. Nope, I would spam it with an affirmation and put myself in a positive state. Now, an affirmation is a statement of, let's say that up here you're saying, oh, I'm worthless, I'm no good, I'll never amount to anything. Well, what did Muhammad Ali do? I am the greatest. I am the greatest. He went like that constantly. He told himself that until he believed it. And I think that worked out pretty well for him. The same thing can work for you as well. Because at the end of the day, you are the greatest in your life. You are the greatest for being you. No one else can do that. So tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself to build yourself up. One of the easiest ways to work on affirmations is when you can identify one of those self-talk, those negative self-talk or negative beliefs going on in your brain. Flip it around. Like, what's the opposite of that? What do I really want to hear? What's going to lift me up? And then put that into your psyche instead, because that will work to change things and lift you up. And even if you don't notice it at first, even if you're just way down here, but you tell yourself, all of a sudden you start to believe it, you start to live it, you start to see some reactions of life, bringing those things into your daily life. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I am a little bit more like that. And now your brain is proving it true because that's what it has to do. That's how it is programmed. Next, spending time in your personal growth, which is probably why you're here. But a lot of people don't do this. If you can really spend some time doing this every single day and focusing on that, then you're going to improve. Your mental health will improve. You will get happier because you are in there and you are focusing on it. Now, remember, learning is one thing, but applying is where it really comes down to. So if you do listen to something, go out and apply something straight away. There's no point doing it and just, all right, I learn and I learn and I learn and I don't apply anything. It's a complete waste of time. You won't get anywhere. Nothing happens. You have to go out and apply what you're doing. Otherwise, you will not see the fruits of your labor. It just doesn't work. So keep spending time on the personal growth, but remember, learn, then apply. Learn, then apply. If you've learned enough, don't even worry about learning any further. Just go and apply it. Next, we go on to journaling. Journaling is just spending time writing down your thoughts in a diary. For some people, it could be a brain dump in terms of just before you go to bed. I don't know about you, but I know for me, like, I've had plenty of times in my life where my brain is just going a million miles an hour and I am just thinking about all of these things that are going on in my brain and I can't switch off and I find it really difficult to sleep. That was most of my life. But what you can do is, when that stuff is going on, sit down, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper or a notepad or whatever it is, and just any of those thoughts, just put them on paper. That's a really easy way to do it. Another way you can do it is by writing down your experiences of the day. Today went like this. I did this, I did this, I did this. I felt like this thing came up. The cool thing about journaling is eventually stuff comes out that you're not necessarily expecting. So you might start out, and especially if you're someone who absolutely hates journaling, writing, what have you, you might start out, I hate this process, this is boring, I don't know why I'm doing this, I think it's a waste of time, I feel like all of this stuff is a waste of time. I can't believe I have been focusing on this other thing, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden you're addressing your issues. It's just come up out of your brain and you're just putting it on paper. So I would suggest setting a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, especially if you hate doing this process. Just set a timer and do a brain dump as fast as possible. And if your timer goes off and you're not done, press the stop button and keep on going. But if you just can't handle it anymore, at least you've got a whole bunch of stuff out of your head and you might find something really interesting going on up there that you haven't been able to identify yet. Last thing, meditation. Now, meditation can be a good thing and it can be a really frustrating thing for many people too. I started off with meditation and trying to still my brain and get it to calm down, and it was a drastic failure. And it's still something that I find very, very challenging if you're doing it that way. What I have found though is doing guided meditations allows you to focus your brain on a particular outcome and a particular message, a particular topic, and you can now purposely program it from the inside. So if you are listening to something that guides you towards more of what you want and less of what you don't want, then that is going to help you. For me, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has been amazing in the meditation work that he's been able to put out. When I was really feeling bad, I just happened to have a copy of his book that my mum had given me for my birthday the year before, and I pulled it out. I started reading this thing called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. One of the best books I've ever read, and I would recommend every single person reads it. Even if you don't want to go and buy it, you can just listen to it on a paid Spotify account. You're not paying anything extra for it. But it'll allow you to understand how you can reprogram your brain and how meditation works. So the cool thing about Dr. Joe is he doesn't just talk the woo-woo stuff. It's not all just like out there mystical, blah, blah, blah. He also goes out and tests everything so he can back everything up by science. And even at the big events that he runs these days, he still has different teams of scientists coming along and testing different things to figure out what's actually going on behind the scenes, so it's not all just the woo-woo. Incredible guy. The stuff absolutely works. I've been working on his stuff for 5 or 6 years now, and I recommend it to everybody, but you've got to be able to have the time and patience to be able to do it. Now, if you don't, that's fine. Everything I've suggested beforehand is going to help you work towards that improved mental health and happier state. You've just got to spend some time on it. True happiness does not need to be a distant memory. You can reprogram your brain. You've just got to do a little bit of work, and you've got to do it on a consistent basis. And if you can do that, especially at the start of the day, you'll really be able to set yourself up in a good state to get on and really enjoy what comes in front of you. But if you don't work at it constantly, it goes away. Like anything else, the weeds will grow back. So you've got to keep pruning the weeds. You've got to keep working on your mental health. It's not just a one-time thing. Work on it daily. That'll allow you to be in a much happier state for a much longer time and have a far better quality of life. So if you want help with this, I have a free 28-day program, and the link is below. If you click on that, you can come and join me, and I'll guide you through 28 days of change where we can work you to design, build and live a life you absolutely love and are ready to jump out of bed for. Hopefully I will see you on the inside.